Koy is now the appointed officer in charge of the Department of the Interior and Local Government. The National Bureau of Investigation urges the Ombudsman to investigate anomalous transactions of the Energy Regulatory Commission.
Over 20,000 tricycle drivers in the city of Manila to suffer from income loss with the implementation of a new policy by the city government. The Philippine National Police provides safety tips for vacationers this summer season. And Japan's cherry blossom frenzy kicks off in Tokyo to herald the spring season.
Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte's performance and trust ratings lowered in the first 3 months of the year, according to Pulse Asia's survey. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte obtained a 78% performance rating from January to March 2017, according to Pulse Asia survey. This is 5% lower compared to its rating in December 2016. Alongside this, the trust rating of the president decreased by 7%. From 83% in December, it fell to 76% based on the latest survey. In the whole country, Duterte's performance and trust ratings are highest in Mindanao. As a whole, 8 out of 10 Filipinos still trust the president. Political analyst Ramon Casiple and Pulse Asia say the drop in Duterte's ratings is not bothersome.
Walang effect yun. Maliit lang yun considering yung 3% na margin of error. Wala pa malayo pa siya sa danger zone. Napakataas pa rin ng popularity.
Ang dami-daming issues na nakapaligid pero ganyan pa din yung kanyang performance and trust ratings. Majority approval and majority trust pa rin.
The survey is conducted among 1,200 respondents from March 15 to 20. Among the issues faced by the country and the president before the survey were the impeachment complaint filed against Duterte by Magdalo Representative Gerry Alejano, testimony of confessed Davao Death Squad hitman Arturo Las Cañas, and Vice President Leni Robredo's video message in the United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs, where she highlighted the issue of extrajudicial killings in the president's campaign against illegal drugs. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella says the rating still shows that the people continue to appreciate the president's performance. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte appoints an officer in charge of the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella says the DILG Undersecretary Catalino Coy will temporarily head the said department. Coy will continue the work of sacked Interior Secretary Ismael Sueno until President Duterte appoints a new DILG chief. For his part, Yusek Coy says he will do his best to accomplish the task entrusted to him by the President. The lawyer of self-confessed hitman Edgar Matabato refutes the allegation of an alleged witness that she was bribed to testify against President Rodrigo Duterte before the International Criminal Court. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Lawyer Jude Sabio denies that they paid Guillermina Arcillas to testify against President Rodrigo Duterte before the International Criminal Court. Early today, Arcillas appeared before the media in Davao City, stating that she was given huge amounts of cash to comply with what the group of Sabio wants her to do. She says Alberto Alejo, who is close to the Liberal Party, was the one who called her and handed her the money.
So sabi nila sa akin, katulad ng inano nila kay Las Cañas, kung makaupo kami ng Senado, 500,000. Pag makarating na dun sa ICC, another 500,000.
Arcillas says aside from the money, she agreed to testify against the president because of her grudge against him after the president did not act on her request when he was still mayor of Davao. She adds that to them, she was a credible witness because of having ties with a councillor who had a previous relation with Duterte, her having the number of Secretary Bongo and the picture of her with the then Davao City mayor, which establishes her closeness to him. She further states states that Attorney Sabio, who is the lawyer of self-confessed hitman Edgar Matubato, was the one who prepared the affidavit that she would sign. The affidavit had 15 drafts before they could finalize because Senator Antonio Trillanes IV and Senator Laila de Lima were not satisfied with the contents of the earlier drafts.
Shipment ni Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte sa Port at saka yung shipment ng cocaine ni PRRD doon sa Panabo at saka sa Port. Bakit ganito? Grabe naman to. Sabi ko kay Sabio, sabi niya sa akin, sabihin mo lang yan kasi para daw yan sa ano at saka pag once si VP Lini ang makaupo, babalik ang power sa Liberal Party at kaming bahala sa iyo. Konsensya din rin po ako kasi lalo na pag sinasabi nila sa akin na yun, i-impeach na si Presidente, ganito, ganyan. Tapos, deep inside kasi, alam ko rin yung kabutihan ni Presidente Duterte.
But Attorney Sabio stresses that Arcillas is hitting back because she was being turned down by their group to be their witness. He admits he personally processed Arcillas after finding out that she had knowledge of the president's alleged involvement in drugs and the killing of a person who was already begging for his life. He says their group decided to let go of her when they suspected that she was only after the money she could benefit from them. Sabio admits that they gave Arcillas certain amounts of money for her needs since they had to transfer her to a more secured area. Meanwhile, Arcillas adds that the camp of Senator Trillanes still has other individuals that they are grooming to testify against the president.
Miguel po na sinasabi nila na tagalibing daw sa sa lahat na pinapatay ni PRRD at saka yung si Edith na nakausap na rin ng taga-brigada news team at saka ako at saka yung husband ko na gusto nga daw nilang mangyari is ako at yung husband ko DDS daw.
Meanwhile, UNTV News also tried to get the side of the other personalities mentioned by Arcillas and also of the Liberal Party, but they have not yet given a statement as of the moment. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The National Bureau of Investigation wants the Office of the Ombudsman to investigate some high-ranking officials of the Energy Regulatory Commission. Monokson will tell us why.
The National Bureau of Investigation handed over the copy of the result of its investigation on the alleged anomalous transaction entered into by the Energy Regulatory Commission. The NBI wants the Ombudsman to conduct a preliminary investigation on the case. Based on NBI findings, some ERC officials had violated the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act and the Government Procurement Law. ERC Chairman Atty. Jose Vicente Salazar, Atty. Presia Vanessa Reynante Reynoso, Chofilo Arbalate and Mr. Luis Morelos were among ERC officials investigated. The investigation revealed that the 1.5 million peso AVP project did not undergo proper procurement process. It also turned out that ERC disqualified some bidders on the project because of a pre-qualified bidder, Fat-Free Incorporated. NBI also found out that Fat-Free was not qualified because it didn't have the 10-year qualifying experience required by the government procurement law. It was also clear that ERC favored Fat-Free even if the AVP project was not included in the annual procurement plan of the Commission. The NBI said the investigation stemmed from the initiative of Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi following the death of ERC Director Atty. Francisco Villa. Until now, ERC Chairman Salazar has not responded on our call and text message for his statement. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Office of the Ombudsman.
The possibility of dismissal against Police Superintendent Lito Cabamongan is getting higher following the result of the confirmatory test from the PNP Crime Laboratory. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Police Superintendent Lito Cabamongan is positive for illegal drugs. This is the result of the confirmatory drug test conducted by the Philippine National Police Crime Laboratory. The PNP Crime Lab will immediately submit the results to the PNP Internal Affairs Service for the immediate processing of the erring cop's summary dismissal.
Screening and confirmatory tests conducted in the above stated specimens gave positive results for the presence of methamphetamine and negative for THC metabolites for marijuana. Both are dangerous drugs.
We will submit it to IAS for them to conduct the administrative summary dismissal procedure.
Even PNP Chief Director General Ronald De La Rosa wants Cabamongan dismissed from service. This after he was diagnosed with symptoms of psychosis or a type of mental disorder, which the findings of his test says it is due to illegal drugs use.
Colonel ka, magdala ka ng baril, tapos may psychosis ka. Sige nga, kung sinong pagbabarilin mo dyan.
The PNP also ordered an inventory of confiscated drugs in their crime lab satellite office where Cabamongan was assigned. Grace Casen, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The immediate supervisor of the two Cotton cops arrested in Quezon City yesterday has also been dismissed from service. Grace Casen is back to tell us why.
Quezon City Motorcycle Unit Traffic Enforcement Unit Chief SPO4 Rodentor Fajardo was dismissed from service due to failure in command responsibility. This following the dismissal of two of the Quezon City Police District personnel who were caught extorting money from motorists for the alleged violations of the anti-smoke belching policy. The Counterintelligence Task Force has now the custody of PO3 Anthony Texon and SPO2 Raul Nadera.
3 cases were filed against them, robbery extortion, Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, and the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials.
Meanwhile, 9 members of Quezon City anti-smoking belching campaign are now under investigation. They are the ones believed to have conspired with the two cops in various illegal activities.
Itong dalawa, paparahin nila yung mga motorists, lalo na yung mga trucks. At pag indoy medyo may problema sa smoke nila, tatakutin nila kung test ba or bayad na lang. Nagre-range sa 1,005 to 500.
PNP has reminded the public to report to the PNP CITF hotline policemen caught in illegal practices. Grace Casen, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Bureau of Customs is strictly monitoring post offices across the Philippines. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Bureau of Customs has intercepted a number of attempted importation of illegal drugs into the country through a courier or mail and by misdeclaring a parcel's contents. Yesterday, BOC confiscated 343 grams of marijuana worth 102,900 pesos at the Central Mail Exchange Center warehouse in Pasay City. BOC conducted the operation with the help of the Anti-Illegal Drugs Task Force, NAIA Customs Police, NAIA Collection District 3, and the NAIA Interagency Task Group. The parcel of contrabands arrived from Canada last March 26, declared as a sample sweater. But the X-ray scanner from the said warehouse was able to detect the parcel's suspicious content.
Nakita sa X-ray ito na mayroong organic, but we cannot open, alam naman yung procedures and yung protocols, we cannot just open the parcel without the consignee or the claimant.
But on April 3, its consignee identified as DeAndre Travis John Cruz claimed the said parcel, who then asked by BOC personnel to verify its contents. Upon opening, authorities saw dried leaves inside 4 plastic pouches, which they suspected were marijuana. The plastic pouches were then immediately brought to the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA to confirm if the dried leaves were marijuana.
Doon pala may violation agad sa CMTA namin. Misdeclared agad yung kargamento.
Cruz will face charges for possession of illegal drugs and violations against the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. BOC is also looking into the angle that Cruz imports marijuana from Canada.
A parallel investigation, continue investigation together with PDEA para malaman namin kung, kasi hindi kami, very unusual na mag-import ng marijuana. Why import marijuana coming from Canada?
He was brought yesterday to the DOJ to face inquest proceedings. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Bureau of Customs.
The local government of Batangas is now conducting an assessment on the damages caused by the earthquake that hit the province last night. Ray Palayo will tell us why.
The Provincial Engineering Office found cracks in the columns of the Municipal Office Building of Batangas. This after a 5.5 magnitude earthquake rocked the province last night. The offices of the Accounting, Budget Department and Executive Assistance Office and the Old Planning Building were also affected. Based on the initial assessment of the Batangas Provincial Engineering Office, the damages caused by the earthquake to the municipal building alone is already at 6 million pesos.
Una pong findings namin dito sa Kapitolyo, medyo malaki po ang damage sa Kapitolyo. Madami pong cracks. Kailangan po natin ditong i-retrofitting.
The Provincial Disaster Office has advised local government employees to stay alert in case of aftershocks. Based on the PDRRMC's data, 50 aftershocks have been felt in Batangas. Meanwhile, classes at all levels in Batangas have been suspended today. This is to give way for the inspection of campuses. Local officials are also continuously assessing the damages caused by the earthquake. They say there is no need yet to declare a state of calamity.
A state of calamity shall be declared if need be, after assessment of reports from the different LGUs. So hindi pa po tayo tapos. Wala pa po tayong declaration. But at any time, at any day, we might, or the governor might ask to the provincial administrator.
Meanwhile, the Malacañang calls on the public to stop spreading unverified information in relation to last night's earthquake in Batangas. The palace also denies reports that PHIVOX released a forecast about the imminent eruption of a volcano. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Participants of the Palarong Pambansa Senior School in Laguna were temporarily evacuated after a strong aftershock. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Cracks occurred on the floor and posts of several rooms in the first up to the third floor of San Luis High School in Santa Cruz, Laguna after a strong aftershock. These led to a temporary evacuation of the athletes currently joining the Palarong Pambansa.
Ang inisip po kasi namin, baka masundan pa yung aftershock, lalaki. Kaya ang inisip namin talagang mag-evacuate muna.
Mark Irvin recalled he was about to sleep last night in his room when he felt a strong shaking in the ground. He first thought someone was pranking him, but after several seconds, other athletes ran outside their rooms shouting because of an earthquake. Irvin immediately ran to the third floor, going to the school's open field.
Lakas po eh. Opo, pag ganon nga po ako sa higaan ko eh. Dito po, kasi po yung mga kasama ko po nagsigawan tapos nagsitayuan na po sila at nagtakbuhan. So tumakbo na rin po ako pababa.
Irvin is Calabarzon's representative in the wushu competition. He and other athletes temporarily stayed at the 4-story building of the San Luis High School. The participant's doctor, Alain Cabudil, even fell from his seat when the 5.5 magnitude earthquake shook the ground.
Medyo parang napatalsik nga ako eh. Pero saglit lang yung experience ko. Pero malakas siya. Napuyat sila kagabi kasi nung pumunta dito yung nag-inspect ng building, dinicide nila na lumipat sa stadium.
The Laguna Provincial Director, the Department of Public Works and Highways, and the school's contractor inspected the affected building this morning. After the inspection, the athletes were allowed to go back to the room as the building was not damaged. The Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office says the school's contractor vows to fix the cracks in the campus buildings. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine National Police, as always, reminds the public that it is better to prepare and be safe than sorry, especially this season. Chris Casim will tell us why.
Authorities wish all vacationers to enjoy their vacation this long holiday. This is why the Philippine National Police reminded the public of some safety tips, especially when leaving for a trip. To avoid incidents of theft, ensure that doors are locked and windows are closed. It is better to install an alarm or CCTV camera and make sure that all appliances are unplugged.
Of course, yung kapitbahay po natin, siguro trust po natin nila na doon tayo po magpaalam na tignan nila yung bahay natin habang tayo wala.
For those who will use their cars for their trip, double-check the condition of the vehicle's blow baguettes, the battery, lights, oil, water, brakes, air, gas, engine, tools, and the condition of the driver. Make sure that all important documents like license and ORCR are with you. Don't use mobile phone while driving. When sleepy, stop driving and take a nap.
Dapat kondisyon tayo, nakatulog tayo ng mahimbing at wala tayong nararamdamang anumang sakit sa katawan.
If you're riding on a public vehicle, book for reservation early. Avoid bringing many things, wearing jewelries, and showing off your money. Upon witnessing suspicious people or thing, immediately inform the police.
Dapat yung isang tao na nakakita nito, wala po muna siyang karapatang hawakan o buksan yung bag na yon. Dapat i-report kagad sa kinaukulan.
Travelers with concerns may contact authorities through government hotline numbers. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Department of Science and Technology is continuously developing its mass transport projects. Some local government units have expressed interest in using the said projects for the public. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The hybrid electric train of DOST is about to take a test run on a longer railway of the Philippine National Railway Corporation. This is to see its durability with higher speed before opening it to public. Meanwhile, the hybrid road train is now in Cebu for a demo run. DOST plans to test the automated guideway transit or AGT on a longer track. Its facility at the UP campus has a track of 500 meters long only, while the one in Bicutan is 300 meters. This vehicle only runs from 25 to 30 kph.
Kailangan pa natin ng pondo para magtayo ng longer guideway. Tapos yung mga safety concerns pa na emergency exit, emergency procedure, emergency platform.
DOST is trying to improve safety components before opening for public use.
Is it worthwhile to still infuse money in this project? Apparently, lumalabas naman. It is.
Meanwhile, an authority of MRT3 said they can apply the technology of the AGT. He said that the local production of parts will be a big help to the transport sector.
Yung automatic doors, pwedeng gamitin yun ng MRT3 to protect passengers from falling sa tracks at iba pang mga components.
The trains and buses were developed by Filipinos. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Around 20,000 tricycle drivers might lose their income with the implementation of no permit, no driving policy in the city of Manila. Nel Marie Buhok will tell us why.
Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada says the local government is planning to phase out all tricycle units in the city. In fact, they have started to implement stricter rules in Binondo area. Aside from out-of-line units, they have also barred all tricycle units from hitting the road.
Gradual. Dito phase out na sila, hindi na makakapasok.
Mayor Estrada encourages tricycle drivers to avail the e-trike as an alternative vehicle and source of income. Earlier today, the City Hall distributed 50 e-trike units.
Siguro yung mabawasan yung gastusin sa gasolina, libre, yung charging.
But drivers claim they have difficulty in acquiring an e-trike.
Kailangan kompleto ng requirement eh. Hindi ka makakuha kung hindi ka kompleto.
This morning, the Manila Traffic and Parking Bureau has begun apprehending colorum or out-of-line tricycle units in major roads in Manila.
Kami nag-aanap buhay ng parehas dito. Ngayon, pag pipiriusing ka ng ganyan,
dapat po kung pinaganda sa kanila, magpa-permit sila, sumali sila sa mga TODA.
According to the Bureau, there are around 25,000 tricycle units operating in the city. However, only 5,000 units have secured permits and franchise to operate. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
There is no need for manufacturing companies to wait for the approval of the Department of Trade and Industry regarding the suggested retail prices of their respective products. Joanano will tell us why.
The Department of Trade and Industry has decided to pass on to the manufacturers the policy of imposing SRPs among their products to practice the free market competition. This covers the products such as coffee, milk, noodles, sardines, and other basic and prime commodities. Despite this, DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez assures the consumers that this will not result in collusion among the manufacturers.
Hindi tataas po yun kasi sa competition nga. Hindi sila mag-wild sila, mawawalan silang benta. Kahit pilitin namin, itaas nyo, sige, sasabihin namin doon sa manufacturer, sige, itaas nyo, 5 pesos. Kung siya lang ang nagtaas at yung iba hindi, bahala sila. Kasi pupunta sa kabila yung consumer
DTI will issue a show cause order to companies who will impose questionable increase in prices of their products, while a penalty of 20,000 up to 1 million pesos will be imposed on manufacturers who will take advantage of this policy. Some grocery store owners are thankful for this move by the DTI, saying that this is such a relief to them.
Kung ang margins are too small, like 2%, 3% lang binigay dahil dumiretso sila sa DTI, abusive from our end, di ba? Kasi how can we pay the right taxes and pay the right salaries and pagtaas ng kuryente, no? At tubig, no? And other costs of operation.
Meanwhile, DTI will also call for a meeting with the sugar manufacturers in the country to ask why the price of sugar has not gone down yet in the market. Based on the monitoring of the agency, millgate prices of each sack of sugar has decreased by 300 pesos in the past 2 months. However, its market price is still at 56 pesos per kilo when it is supposed to be 50 pesos only. Despite of the new policy, DTI assures that they will still continue to monitor the prices of basic and prime commodities to protect the rights of the consumers. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
The National Bureau of Investigation arrested 2 people for fraud. 4 others were also nabbed for illegally selling petroleum products. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The National Bureau of Investigation or NBI presented to the media earlier Ira Enriquez and Robert Tesorero, who were arrested yesterday for fraud. The 2 were nabbed during an entrapment operation after a victim complained of extortion. The complainant said they were asked to pay 20,000 pesos in exchange of appointment by President Duterte to a government position. The complainant gave the money at Marco Polo Hotel in Davao City, where he was also interviewed by Enriquez and Juan Alma Carrion, who presented herself as Little President of Malacanang. The suspect guaranteed that President Duterte will conduct the final interview with them before oath-taking. But the victim started to doubt after being asked to pay an additional 10,000 pesos for processing of their application.
Ang pangako nila, merong magi-interview dito sa complainant natin na malakas daw sa Office of the President. Sabi nila, kaya nila. Dahil sa Davao nga sila na-interview, sabi nila, kaya daw nila na ma-interview din itong complainant ni Presidente at eventually ma-appoint bilang regional director. So naniwala naman itong complainant natin.
In a certification from the Human Resource Management of the Office of the President, the office denied that the suspects are their employees. The NBI also found out that Enrique was previously charged with carnapping and estafa. They are now facing usurpation of authority and estafa charges before the Department of Justice. Enrique denied all allegations.
Hindi totoo lahat yan. Sino yung contact mo? Gusto lang nila kaming perahan. Silang lumalapit sa amin. Para ano? Kung saan pa na nila kami pinupunta.
Meanwhile, in a separate entrapment by the NBI and the Bureau of Customs this morning, 4 others, namely Larry Santiago, Mark Jun de la Cruz, Jomar Delvo, and Levi Manlapas were nabbed after being caught illegally selling petroleum products in Avota City. Attorney Dennis Sihian of the NBI Anti-Organized Transnational Crimes Division said they have confiscated 4 containers of petroleum products in residence of one of the suspects.
Well, that is precisely kung bakit kasama rin yung Bureau of Customs sa operation na ito dahil gusto rin nilang malaman yung extent.
The 4 were charged with violation of all pilferage law before the Navotas City Prosecutor's Office. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In a Twitter post of the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, the government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines peace panels confirmed reaching an agreement on an interim joint ceasefire today. This is as they discuss the conditions that will be included in the bilateral ceasefire agreement. The Philippine government and NDF peace panels are in the Netherlands for the fourth round of peace talks, which will last until April 6. Both are expecting to have a comprehensive agreement on the social reforms as well as the bilateral ceasefire agreement.
President Rodrigo Duterte tells Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison he can go back to the Philippines, and the president guarantees his free movement if ever he decides to. But this is as long as the CPP and the National Democratic Front panel will come up with a formal bilateral ceasefire agreement with the government, stop collecting revolutionary taxes, stop claiming territories, and free their political prisoners.
Doresa and Belly called me. Sabi, ganong usap sila. Sabi ko, you tell Sison because he's sick, very sick. He can come home. I'll give him a freedom of movement. I will not arrest him. If I arrest him, I will pay for his fertilization kung gusto niya. But there are the three things that I will not. Una is stop the revolutionary tax. Release all prisoners. Sabi nila within the next 2 days. Third is do not claim any territory in this. May-ari as administrator of government. Ako ang may-ari ng lahat ng lupa dito. Do not claim any territory.
Sison has been residing in the Netherlands since 1987, where he seeks asylum as a political refugee. The AFP Western Mindanao Command wants to intensify its joint maritime patrol with Indonesia and Malaysia in so-called areas of common concern. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines Western Mindanao Command or WestMincom aims to prevent the possible occurrence of incidents of kidnapping and piracy in the region.
Ang gusto namin dito, with the help of our Malaysian counterpart, Indonesian counterpart, we will make it stronger. Parang yung gagawin natin is yung model ng Malacca Strait Patrols, wherein we will make sure that all the vessels that passing through the area of common concern will be secured.
This will help us deter the conduct of kidnapping. So with the help of our counterpart from Malaysia and Indonesia, we can protect the tribe boundaries wherein these are the common areas wherein the kidnappers thrive their business.
Incidents of kidnapping and piracy frequently happen in the Celebes Sea, Sulu Sea, and Lahad Datu in the Malaysian and Indonesian waters. Thousands of vessels carrying various products pass through these seas. This is why the three Southeast Asian countries believe there is a need to conduct patrols in the said areas. The defense ministers of the Philippines and Malaysia are expected to meet to sign a new agreement that aims to strengthen their maritime security patrols. The three countries will also conduct post-military exercises aimed at further strengthening their cooperation in addressing violence at seas. Meanwhile, the AFP calls on commercial vessels to follow the so-called safety corridor while sailing so authorities could easily monitor them.
Kahit na gawin natin na may eye in the sky, nakikita namin, but yung mga commercial vessel hindi sumusunod sa safety corridor kasi meron tayong tinatawag sa based on our agreement, meron tong tinatawag na safety corridor because we cannot guard the vast sea.
Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
U.S. Ambassador Sung Kim made his first trip to the province of Leyte to inaugurate classrooms and a livelihood training center constructed by the U.S. Embassy and the Philippines United States Agency for International Development. The U.S. government has spent more than 7 billion pesos to bolster rehabilitation efforts for the damages caused by Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda in 2013. To date, USAID's Rebuild project has built 310 classrooms and 30 livelihood support facilities to rehabilitate communities in typhoon-affected areas. U.S. aid has also constructed 12 health facilities and provided sustainable livelihood to sari-sari store owners, local entrepreneurs, and thousands of farmers and fisherfolk.
The Philippine Embassy in Russia calls on Filipinos in the country to exercise vigilance at all times. Ronald De Guzman will tell us why.
Stay indoors muna ho tayo at iwasan ang mga lakad na hindi kailangan. At tayo po mag-exercise ng extraordinary diligence po kung kailangan man natin lumabas.
This is a call from Philippine Ambassador to Russia, Carlos Soreta, to Filipinos working and residing in the country following a terror attack in St. Petersburg early this week. The embassy makes sure that no Filipino was hurt in the blast that happened on Monday. Nevertheless, Ambassador Soreta assures that Filipino community in Russia, as well as their loved ones in the Philippines, that the embassy is open anytime to extend help for the safety and protection of OFWs in the country.
Ngayon po ay kami naka-alert dito sa embassy. May nakahanda kaming team na pumunta sa St. Petersburg kung kakailanganin, kung may masaktan o walang ng buhay. Pupunta po ang team doon para tumulong at kung nawalan ng buhay ay para i-formalize ang mga documentation para mag-repatriate.
Based on the embassy's record, there are about 8,000 Filipinos residing in Russia, about 1,000 work in St. Petersburg. Authorities have tightened security measures in vital installations in the country as observed by some Filipinos. They also remind fellow compatriots to exercise caution at all times.
Bilang iba ang ating itsura sa kanila, isa tayo sa mga madaling mapaghinalaan dahil mache-check tayo every now and then, kaya kailangan nating huwag magdala ng malalaking bag at iwasan nating kung hindi rin lang kailangan lumabas para masiguro natin ang ating kaligtasan.
Marami na rin mga Pilipino na nagtatrabaho dito, lalo na ang sa mga sumasakay sa train. Hindi po natin alam kung sa oras na yun merong ibang mga pagsabog.
Ronald De Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue, Moscow, Russia.
Inmates and personnel of a jail facility in Nueva Ecija thank UNTV and the members Church of God International. Jun Surya will tell us why.
Congestion in jails has become a national issue, and this comes with several health concerns. Residents of jail facilities commonly complain of respiratory ailments, skin diseases, and hypertension. For this reason, UNTV and members Church of God International or MCGI work together to help address the needs of our compatriots behind bars in the group's own little way. In Nueva Ecija, more than 500 inmates and personnel of San Jose District Jail have received assistance from a medical mission conducted for free. Some inmates also availed of free legal consultation. That is why the inmates and the personnel of San Jose District Jail are thankful to UNTV and MCGI.
Ang masasabi ko po sa medical mission ng UNTV ay maganda po dahil nabigyan po kami ng pagkakataon para may mapacheck up, mabigyan po ng lunas ang karamdaman.
Salamat po kami at andyan po kayo na nakahanda na tumutulong sa amin kahit andito po kami sa bilangguan po. Malaking biyaya po sa amin na nakakulong.
Kami po ay papasalamat sa mga tao na nandito ngayon na pinangunahan ni Brother Daniel Rason sa UNTV, yung kay Brother Kelly Soriano sa dating daan. Nagpapasalamat ng marami kasi pangalawang beses na to nung I was the warden of Talavera Municipal Jail. Ayun, nandito ako sa San Jose, naulit na naman.
Jun Suriao for Serbisyong Kasangbahay.
The country will experience hotter weather in the following days. This is after Pag-asa's announcement that the northeast monsoon is expected to weaken this weekend. Wind from the Pacific or the easterlies will then be the prevailing weather system. For now, Mindanao and eastern Visayas will experience light to moderate rains due to the effect of the easterlies. Isolated light rains are expected in northern and central Luzon due to the effect of the northeast monsoon. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have fair weather with possibilities of isolated rain showers and thunderstorms.
Coming up, Britain's Prince Harry calls for a landmine-free world by year 2025 in line with the International Mine Awareness Day.
And tourists flock at Ueno Park in Tokyo to experience this year's cherry blossom frenzy.
More from Y News after this break.
Y News would like to thank the following: Inex Industrial Incorporated, Medical Depot, Satex Communication Center, E5 Enterprise, East Trans Line Philippines Incorporated, JPM Medical.
Serbisyong taus-pusong ihahatid sa ating mga kababayan. Serbisyong maaasahan anumang oras ninyong kailangan. Serbisyong abot kamay. Ito ang serbisyong kasangbahay. Sabay ang mapapanood sa UNTV at mapapakinggan sa Radyo La Verdad 1350.
Nakatatak sa isip ko yung I am here to serve everyone and not only one.
Meron siyang isang kaibigan na parang nagkaroon ng tampuhan. I think misquoted na gusto niyang may say sa cabinet. Pero alam mo, hindi nagkasya sa statement ko. Tumawag siya ng press con at sinabi niya, my friendship ends where the interest of my country begins. Yun ang sagot niya. Kaya makikita mo ang klase ng pagkatao niya.
Two men were arrested by federal police in connection with large drug trade in Australia. James Cos will tell us why.
Australian Federal Police and Victoria Police have seized Australia's largest ever haul of methamphetamine in Melbourne, a record 903 kilograms. In a news conference held on Wednesday, April 5th, police said the drugs had an estimated street value of 898 million Australian dollars. The drugs were concealed in the cavities between floorboards and seized from a factory in Melbourne early in 2017.
It's very difficult when you consider the amount of cargo that comes across to get every individual consignment. But with this particular consignment, we had significant intelligence that led us to that warehouse.
Two men had been arrested in relation to the haul. Police said the seize was made early this year without disclosing the exact date of the operation. James Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
Prince Harry, third in line to the British throne, remembers his mother, Princess Diana, in a speech to mark International Day for Mine Awareness. Dungarin will tell us why.
2 decades ago, the late Princess Diana used a high-profile trip and walked through a minefield in Angola to raise awareness of the threat of landmines.
My mother had been shocked and appalled by the impact that landmines were having on incredibly vulnerable people, and on children in particular. She didn't understand why more people were not willing to address the cause of so much suffering. She refused to accept that these destructive weapons should be left where they were, just because they were perceived as too expensive and difficult to remove.
Along with Angola, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan are among the most mined countries in the world, while the production and use of landmines has dropped since a 1997 treaty to prohibit their use. More than 60 million people are at risk of death or injury from landmines globally, according to the UK Department for International Development. The number of people reported killed or injured by landmines rose by 75% in 2015 to nearly 6,500 largely due to conflicts in Libya, Syria, Ukraine, and Yemen, according to the Landmine Monitor. Most of the casualties were civilians. Following in his mother's footsteps, Harry visited minefields in Angola in 2013 and Mozambique in 2010. Mozambique was declared landmine-free in 2015. More than 160 countries have signed the Mine Ban Treaty, and 27 countries and one territory have declared themselves free of landmines, including Rwanda and Nicaragua.
It would take just an additional £100 million each year until 2025, the cost of a star signing for some professional football team, to clear the world's most affected countries of landmines. Countries such as Afghanistan, Cambodia and Sri Lanka, where the debris from bygone wars denies men and women the ability to cultivate their land, feed their children and rebuild their lives.
June Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe.
The world's largest container ship took its maiden trip in the northeast Chinese municipality of Tianjin on Tuesday. The ship, with a loading capacity of 20,000 standard containers, will berth at major ports in China before heading to international ports such as Suez, Southampton, Hamburg, and Dubai, among others. As a new transport corridor of the maritime Silk Road in the 21st century, the ship route will cover Southeast Asia and link to Europe. As an international port intended to boost the economy of the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region, the Tianjin port will speed up construction of the core area for international shipping in North China. Funeral parlors in China are turning to digital technologies such as online services and 3D printing. Dulce Alarcon will tell us why.
Baboshan Funeral Home in Beijing is one of the pioneers in embracing the new technologies to reshape the traditional funeral customs in China. It has launched an internet platform providing a package service of remains collection, delivery, cold storage, cleanup, makeup, and farewell ceremony. Different from ordinary e-commerce platform, this online platform requires a death certificate to process further requests, which effectively enhances the safety and reliability of online orders.
随时可以去在网上或者在手机里边就可以扫描，甚至我们其他的亲友也通过这个二维码呢，也可以去追忆它，然后对我们是一种莫大的慰藉。
Baboshan Funeral Home was also reportedly the first to integrate 3D printing technologies in Beijing to repair corpses by creating accurate replicas of missing body parts.
贴近一个皮肤的一个颜色的一个模型，然后我们再通过化妆上色，然后恢复它原来的那个样子。我觉得相似度应该在90%到95%。
After scanning a 2D photo of the dead into the computer program, a full 3D digital model of their face will be generated automatically with just a mouse click. The process takes only 12 hours. Moreover, it helps to lessen the risk of spreading germs and viruses. The new technologies not only bring an industrial revolution to funeral services in China, but also embrace more humanistic concern. Dulce Alarcon, UNTV News and Rescue, Changchun, China.
Big names in the global culinary arts scene gather in Melbourne for a special awards night. Nina Bascon will tell us why.
World-renowned chefs including Hassan Blumenthal gathered in Melbourne on Wednesday for the 2017 World's 50 Best Restaurants Awards. At a morning tea event, Italian chef Massimo Bottura, winner of the prestigious award in 2016 for his restaurant Osteria Francescana, celebrity chef Hassan Blumenthal and other well-known chefs posed for media in front of a Melbourne laneway mural tribute.
It's emotional, you know, to see the face of Elston, Daniel, me, Joanne, Ben, you know, on the wall. Like it's emotional.
Blumenthal, known for his multi-sensory dining, is set to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award 2017 at the ceremony that will be held in Melbourne on Wednesday night. This is only the second time in the award's 15-year history where it's held outside London.
for me, the most important thing about this is that these awards being here, it's just another example of where Melbourne is in the world of food. It's I'd put it as one of the 5 greatest cities in the world to eat in.
The Best 50 list, which was launched in 2002, has gained prominence among chefs around the globe, rivaling the long-standing Michelin guides with its star system. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue, Melbourne, Australia.
Tokyo's cherry blossom frenzy kicked off on Tuesday as residents and tourists flocked to parks that were ablaze with white and pink flowers. Danny Tixon will tell us why.
Tens of thousands of people went to Tokyo's Ueno Park to walk around and take photographs of the floral explosions that herald spring. For many, hanami or cherry blossoms viewing in Japanese brings not only the chance to sit and have a picnic, but also to socialize and make new friends.
みんなで盛り上がれますよね。なんか今日も初めて会う方といろいろ話す機会もあって盛り上がれたんで。
桜の見頃の時期というのが1年に1週間ほどっていう貴重な短い時期しかないんですよね。でその中で、桜が綺麗っていうこともあるんですけれども、春に家族なり友達なりみんなが集まってワイワイできる、機会という意味でも、重要なのかなと思います。
It's also peak seasons for tourists. According to Japan's tourism ministry, the number of tourists peaked in April last year thanks to the popularity of cherry blossoms. The prediction of the cherry blossoms is one that weather broadcasters take seriously, collecting the observations of cherry blossoms buds of 10,000 trees across the country.
でそうすることでもう一本一本の桜に対して、正確に開花予想を、精度を高めるということができるわけなんですけれども、国内からの、桜の開花に対する注目度ということを考えますと、もうこれくらい力を入れる必要がある、予想なんですね。
In Japan, the blooming of the cherry blossoms generally coincides with the beginning of schools, as the light pink flowers symbolize new beginnings and fresh starts. Danny Tixon, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
Those are the reasons behind the news. April 5, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.